Paranormal Evidence.
Tonight, see what truly exists inside the world of the paranormal. Inside. Join the discussion and review some of the best paranormal evidence captures from a wide variety of experienced and up-and-coming investigators. See and hear what they capture, where they captured it, and how they captured it. Right now on Entity Voices
Paranormal Evidence.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence. I am Chris, can't hit the right button.
Tried to hit the button.
I'm Lourdes Gonzalez.
I'm Ron Yacovetti, and I'm Tony Rathman.
Hey, you got a hat?
Woo!
And you, all right, never mind.
Yeah, I don't have
we miss him being here, so I had to do this.
That's funny. I didn't
Not
know
the
you
same.
got a hat. All right.
Oh yeah, we got
Thank you, Melissa.
hats.
We got hats.
Yes, guys, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary to you.
7. Happy anniversary. That's nice.
7 years today.
Yep.
Wow.
What has happened in 7 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, she still beats me. Changed.
Keeps them in line, you know.
Unfortunately, Tony and Sheree won't be with us tonight. Tony had a late work meeting.
Yeah.
So you're going to see me going back and forth because now I got to do the comments and all the evidence. Thanks a lot, Tony. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll try to help.
He's going to have to do it next week because I'll be traveling for work. So there's Scott. Hello, everybody. Hello, Scott.
Hello,
Guys.
The
So
best
run
of
and
the
notice. What did you guys do this last week?
Oh,
We were busy.
yeah.
We did the shadow soiree in Pine Bush, New York in the museum, which was really successful. It was nice.
Yeah, the return of where we launched the digital seance initiative was at the Pine Bush Paranormal UFO Museum, or UFO Paranormal Museum. And we had a good launch there, and then we got to bring it back, and they made a whole Victorian themed shadow soiree with the Phantasmagoria, right? Phantasmagoria light show.
That's it.
Stephanie Smith from the Haunted Channel did, narrated by Linda Zimmerman. It was fantastic.
We had a 15-year-old harpist.
15-year-old girl playing the harp who was very talented.
Yeah.
We sold it out with a waiting list.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So there's a lot of people with questionable morals in the nearby area.
And we're not there.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it was awesome. We already reviewed. I sent you something. We already doing direct radio voice with the digital seance sitting, naming people in the room, answering questions. We had a couple people again, which is our trademark thing, trying to do what Marcello Bacci did and give people closure or some kind of emotional connection, solace. And we had another tearful moment with one of the
Cindy. Actually.
one of the guests, one named Cindy. That was where the clip came from. Then Saturday we went to my nephew's wedding, which was beautiful.
Oh,
It was really cool. Yeah, I mean it's
cool.
It was a beautiful wedding. So much food. Oh my goodness.
yeah, it was Gluttony Hut. It was
Brittany Hut.
it was unbelievable. But so that was like nonstop all weekend. And Sunday we just sat around and went, "You want to get the remote? I'm gonna get it up there."
Yeah.
I'll just lay here.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Life of a paranormal couple on our anniversary. We went down to downtown Concord, North Carolina, which is Union Street. It's been there since the 1800s. Some of the old Victorian house, 1862 was one of the oldest houses.
Wow.
And we ate in an Italian restaurant. I won't say the name because we don't do that promo stuff. And well, we do, but it's a really good restaurant. It's downtown. There's nothing wrong with it.
Really good.
But the waitress was telling us, we're sitting around going, "Do you feel that? Do you feel that?" She's like, "Yeah." So the waitress goes, "Yeah, we have a ghost here named Rachel." And I'm like, "No, her name's not Rachel." And the lady just looks at us funny, and she's like, "I'm sorry, what?" So life in the paranormal is like, "No, you're wrong." But it was funny. But
Yeah.
we went down, walked around. It was pretty cool.
Yep. That's nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
We love that historical stuff. And then Sunday we did the same thing you guys did. Pretty much nothing.
After working all week and
Yep.
just Sundays. Well, that's usually my rest day to clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know when else I'm gonna do it.
She
so.
starts at 10 a.m. and doesn't stop until 9 p.m.
Well,
And she had a restful Sunday.
Listen,
I go out in the garage.
don't argue with her.
Yeah, I don't argue with her. I go out in the garage, do my workout, and come back in and go, okay, I'm done. So,
Bless you.
bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you. So we were looking forward to this very much. This is
Yes.
this could be a great show. We all actually got to meet our next guest
That's how we
You
got
know,
her.
in
Yeah.
Gettysburg, and I know she'll probably bring it up. If she doesn't, I'm going to. That there was an interesting circumstance to how she first approached talking to me. She may have talked to you before the show about it before we signed on. So it was fascinating, the timing. You know, we always talk about timing and relevance with evidence. This is this in the psychical skill set. This is another example of that, I think.
Right.
Yeah, we were blessed enough to. I mean, we ran into, of course, fell in love with her dog, but
Yeah.
ran into a couple times. We kept passing them, and it's just like
Then they came to your
yeah.
and Chris's
your
Lecture.
your talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me and DeCesare, the ghost boy at Geneseo.
Yes. So
Yeah.
let's
People on the
get
planet.
the suspense going here. So our guest is Maureen Grudzinski. She's a promoter of the world's largest ghost hunt, author, astrologist, and psychic. She is a content creator and founder of A Lil Witchy, which some of you may have heard of, where you can find healings, tarot cards, psychic mediumship. She can also marry you if you're in the Wilkes-Barre, Scranton metropolitan area, up to 100 miles surrounding radius.
Oh.
Not 101. So don't
100.
push it. I'm just kidding.
Don't push it.
99.9.
So she's a really strong psychic medium. She has multiple. Good God, I can't think straight tonight.
Well, I don't know.
Spirits.
Guides.
Guys,
Yes, thank you.
Like guides.
Frig, man.
You got a couple of
is
guys.
this going to be like Mad Libs tonight? Like you're going to stop?
Let's,
Fill in the blank.
you guys better start working on it. You're going to
verb.
fill this shit in.
I need a.
So she found her gift after a near fatal accident, blew her third eye wide open. Let's go ahead, everybody. Welcome, Maureen.
Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome.
I'm so excited to be with you guys.
How are you tonight?
I'm so good. How are you guys?
Good.
We're good. We're good. Your energy that you give off when we met you in person is not in the least bit hindered through the screen. Right? you get the same vibe. It's all like upbeat, positive. It's really cool.
Yep.
That's because I use the rest of it on my family.
Her energy's a little witchy, though.
Yeah.
It comes in handy.
No, but actually, so I did. Ron wasn't with everyone else. Hi, Lynn. I was with my husband and the floof in the carriage. And I met Lourdes and Chris and Audra first. And then we literally kept bumping into each other.
Yeah.
And all that energy was like pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. And we kept saying, we'll see you later. We'll see you later. We'll see you later. And
we did.
And we did. And my husband and I kept saying, I really like them. I like them so much. And we didn't even really know you guys, but we liked your energy and we couldn't wait to see you again. And we'd be like, hi. We'll see you again later. We'll see you again. So then we went to we actually know Chris's friends, and they said, make sure you go and talk to him. And we went and we talked to him, and Chris was just so you kind of melt into him.
The Cesare?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris DeChester.
He's arguably one of the kindest people on the planet. He really is.
You can feel that. So we know Mara and Jeff. And we immediately, as soon as we saw him, we went over to talk to him. And we talked to him up until you guys had your speaking engagement. So we went in, and Ron, when you started talking, it was so emotional for me. And I couldn't stop crying. And every time that happens when I go to one of these, my husband looks at me and he goes, "Stop it. Stop doing this. You're so embarrassing." But I just can't help it, because anytime it has something to do with someone who lost a family member, I feel everything, because I'm a physical medium as well. I feel how someone passed away, or how someone feels. Like the other day, I officiated a wedding, and someone was very hurt on the Sunday before, and he was propping his leg up, and when they put the bench underneath his foot, it ripped everything inside of me, and I couldn't handle the pain. I had to literally turn around and walk away to get away from him. So when you were telling your stories, it was super emotional for me. And then Chris told his story, and I felt all of that. It was so difficult to listen to.
Wow. That was Carrie Hopper, by the way. It showed up on the screen. Facebook. That was a powerful, moving moment. She agrees with her entirely.
Oh, I think Carrie was sitting next to my husband.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
The first time we got to meet Carrie in person too. We were so thrilled about that trip to Gettysburg. Absolutely. Chris and Audra. We ended up meeting you and your husband. We met Carrie for the first time. So, and there was an instance you had said, I thought this was worth sharing, and I should do the Clip Notes version of it. You had a name that kept coming to you, and it was a woman's voice, right? And you said, and she kept screaming it to you, including during the lecture. And I had just finished, I'm writing my third book, which is about what we've been doing, which is the Digital Seance Initiative. And that's what the title is going to be. And I was writing some of the history of traditional seance and something like that, just like a little, small part of the book, just to give a little history. And I had just finished doing something about the Fox sisters, who was Kate, Maggie, and
who's the other one? Kate, Maggie, and she's on the top of my head.
I know I was blank on the third name.
I don't really mention her a whole lot.
But go ahead.
And those Holtes are watching Steve and Katie. Can't wait to see you guys soon. They're awesome. And so go ahead, Negus, tell it from your perspective now. But I had just finished writing that afternoon and the day before that section.
Well, the next day we came back, and my husband didn't stop talking to the Samoan the whole time we were there. He was just like BFFs like this with him. So he takes the dog, he's talking to the Samoan, he's inviting him for dinner. And
that's a big night going back to dinner.
He walked away for something and he gave the dog back to me. So I'm kind of walking around and I kept looking down the aisle at you. And Simonelli's next to you. And I felt really strange just walking up to you. And I finally walked up to you and I said something like, I just wanted to let you know that your talk yesterday was extremely emotional. And I want to thank you for what you said and what you did. What you do electronically is something that everyone needs, because not everyone can do what some of us can. And I think that was my segue into, by the way, who's Maggie? And you kind of looked at me and your mouth dropped open and you went like this to Simonelli. You got to hear this. Tell him what you just said.
Yeah.
And he kind of like looked at me and I said, I asked him who Maggie was, and he goes, "Get the hell out of here."
Get the hell out of here. That sounds like him.
Kate, Leah, and Margaret.
Leah.
And Margaret was known as Maggie. And I had just written a section about the Fox sisters. Maggie was one of the Fox sisters. I have no reference in my past where that name would have had any meaning to me personally, other than the fact that I had just written about the Fox sisters in that section of the book. And then you come up with this Maggie screaming at me. She keeps saying Maggie, Maggie, Maggie.
And it kept getting louder and louder and louder and louder. And I kept saying to my husband that night, I'm like literally like kneeling on the bed, like jumping up and down going, I keep hearing Maggie, 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 Maggie. And it's getting louder and louder and I can't control it. But then like sometimes I never know who it's for. But when I looked down the aisle and I saw you and you were just kind of like playing with your electronics, it was like Maggie, and I couldn't stop. I couldn't just walk away, but I didn't want to like freak you out either. But then again, in this gig, you kind of don't freak anybody out. So I had to walk up to you and say something about it, because if I drove home, Maggie'd be standing over my bed with her hand over my mouth, like trying to suffocate me.
And that's who you believed it was after you did it.
Yeah, I mean, it because my whole life, since I'm really little, I've had watchers standing around my bed. I've had things save my life. I've been electrocuted and didn't feel anything. I've heard, the people in my head. Most people be like, she's crazy. Yeah, a little bit. But I've heard, don't go left. And I've gone left and I've gotten into a major car accident. So you just kind of know, like when you said that, and then Simonelli looked at me and he goes, do you know who the Fox sisters are? And I'm like, holy shit, yeah. And he goes, this is the one. And I'm like, we would not even be, and then I got so excited. I'm like, we would not even be here right now today if it weren't for the Fox sisters. Like the table tipping, the cornucopia flying around in the air, the knocking on the walls, the fake ectoplasm, all of it. And he goes, do you want to do a documentary? And I go, hell yeah. And he goes, all right, I'll be in touch. And we talked for a long, long time. And I told him what I was hearing and what I was being told and what each of the sisters were like. And he goes, how do you know this? And I said, Maggie's telling me. Wow. And he was like, you didn't read this? And I go, no, like I know about the whole spiritualism thing and when it began. And like, I've studied all of that because that's what I do. Like, this is a full-time thing for me. Some people do it part-time, but this is full-time. I know all about that, but I didn't know anything about their like lives. Yeah, and he goes, right. You know exactly about each one and what they were like. And he goes, can you tell me why one was drinking? And I said, yeah. And I told him. And he said, it's so sad.
Yes, Carrie, one of the sisters did out the other ones. Yeah. Admission of hoaxing, and then she recanted it later on and said it was for financial gain, I think, or something. Kayla, right? Is that Kayla or Kyla?
You know what? I was going to say it correctly, and you're making me look like
It's
Kayla. For everybody watching, Chris kept pronouncing Kayla's name wrong during the entire show.
Is it Kyla?
Yeah, I would say Kyla, then I'd say Kayla, then I'd say Kyla, then I'd say Kayla.
I liked her idea of Maureen doing impersonations of Anthony Simonelli.
So I want to point something out to people that are watching that don't get or that aren't as deep into the paranormal world as we are, and go to some of the paracons and go to investigations and touch base, and all of our friend base are paranormal. The best part about Maureen is she starts talking about I'm getting all these things and I'm hearing all these things and I'm standing at a
Voices in my
Paracon in
head.
Gettysburg and I wanted to go tell Ron what I was hearing, but I thought he might think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
This is the world we all live in, especially highly sensitive people. When you don't know if you're batshit crazy or the stuff that really is coming through is real. That's the insane thing.
Yeah, it's like,
Lourdes?
is my imagination or did somebody
Yeah.
say something to me?
Well, that's the thing. If you're questioning if you're crazy, you're not crazy.
See, that's funny because I heard, it's so funny. I heard a word. I'm always hearing things, and I heard a word. It didn't make any sense, but I mentioned it to him before the show because I'm like, I have to start trusting that because a lot of times I question it all the time. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start seeing the things that come to me because I want to see.
There's a way to figure that out. If you're asking yourself, what's for dinner? And you're like, chicken, beef, and it's taking you a long time, it's yourself. If it's coming too fast, it's not you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense.
I mean, it's a good that's good advice because that's happened to me too. But it's the ones that are like one word. I had this one word come, and I don't know why did that word come up? And it just kept coming up. Kind of like what you said, Maggie, with this one word. I don't want to say it. It just kept coming up. I'm like, why am I thinking about this? So I told him, I don't know what it means, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
And Lynn is right. Lynn and I have been friends since our kids were really little. I'll call her and I'll say, what's going on? And she'll be crying and she'll tell me what's happening. Erin, it's a different kind of bond. When this totally exploded for me, like the guy came to hook up our TV stuff, and he would say, okay, so what email address do you want to use? A Lil Witchy at yahoo.com. And he's like, does that mean something? And I would tell him, and he'd go, I have abilities myself. The internet guy came. He would tell me that he had a connection with it. All of a sudden, all these people start connecting to you, just like you said, Chris. We're all friends in the same community. All the negativity starts to wash away and all the positivity starts to come in. You start to cast away the negative and you pull in the positive.
Yeah. Funny because our cable guy also said that he was psychic, but he said that the reading would come to him between the hours of 12 p.m. and 5 p.m.
And you have to wait at home for it. And I met all of you guys, and I met Kayla, and Kayla and I are like besties.
Yeah, Kayla's good people too. We just had her on too.
Is awesome.
I wish Kayla lived closer.
Ohio.
But I told her after October, once I'm not as busy with all the Halloween stuff, I would drive out to her and I'll help her with whatever she needs.
Yeah, there she is. Yeah, we want to go out there and work with her also too. She's killing it. She's got killer locations she's lining up now. She's working with great people, and doing what the field needs done if you're going to run location. So it's exciting to see that. That's preserving our history.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then that girl, she works all day long and then turns around and goes and works on her locations until she drops. So that is
I'd be happy to go out and help her with anything she needs. I mean, I just sit around here and do nothing.
No, I'm on my way.
All right. So there was a big comment right there.
Aaron?
I just got to place this. So, guys, we preach pure unity all the time.
Aaron's another doll.
Aaron is just phenomenal.
I don't think I know Aaron, but I'd like to know Aaron.
Yeah.
She's another soul like Kayla, for sure.
Yeah.
Vibe. Don't I mean, they're kind of like same vibe. Mm-hmm.
Great people in this community. If you're not a part of the para community, then you are missing out.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get to some of Maureen's evidence. Am I pronouncing that right so I don't look like a fool? Maureen?
You can call me whatever you want.
Oh.
Mo. Mars.
Mars.
That's actually my nickname, Mars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I'm out there like the planets.
Well, aren't women from Mars and men are from Venus?
Except the Venusian women,
Okay, there we
like
go.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Mari. I am called Mari too.
Maury.
All right, so here we go. Sorry, guys, I'm going back and forth between the chat. So, do you want to start with the pictures, or do you want to start with your clip with the flashlights?
Whatever you want to do. Whatever's.
Let's start with the pictures so we can spend more time. I love going through photo because I can just analyze the hell out of it. So this is
Okay.
really,
Indeed,
so
you
let's
can.
start with, huh?
You might tell me it's complete bullshit. I don't know what you're going to tell me.
No,
No,
Chris
I
is good.
threw all those away. No, I'm just kidding.
It's all in my mind, right, Lourdes?
All right, here we go. Here's the first clip.
Is that a yes? Can I use a thermometer on that flashlight? Is that a yes? No? Okay, that's a yes. Okay.
So I'm going to move straight into the second one because the second one shows an intelligent response. Here we go.
Are you a Confederate soldier? Blink once for yes.
Yeah, it's definitely blink.
Did you die in this house?
Mhm.
Awesome. So what kind of flashlights were those, Maureen? Was it the push button? Were they the twist ones?
They're the little tiny dollar store flashlights, and we had two of them. And I was trying to do one for yes, one for no, and they just had those little, fluffy push buttons. And that was one of those extreme ghost hunts where you go to two places, they pick the
Right.
place, and you go for like 3 hours. So this was, it was an apartment building in Gettysburg, and there was an upstairs and a downstairs, and this was the upstairs that we started with.
So I actually love your answer because the twist flashlights, when you twist it to where it's just barely on, the slightest vibrations with those flashlights can make them flicker,
Yep.
can make them turn on and off when they're laying on a floor like that. The fact that those were the push button flashlights is huge when it comes to paranormal responses because you actually have to push it in to make it click in order to get it to turn on and off. It's not like tilting on the edge of on or off. You really have to it takes some effort to get those to turn on and off. That's why
And I think that's why it took so long to get the answer.
to build up the
Yeah.
energy to turn it off and on. Yeah.
So, one of the things this brings me back to, and I want to ask Maureen, but I wouldn't mind also hearing Chris and Audra and even Lord respond to it, is that there are some methodologies in the field that persist, and some of them, like dowsing rods, like the flashlights, they'll get scrutinized a lot of times for whether or not it's a legitimate form of detecting anything, but they don't go away. And people at all levels, from beginner to seasoned veterans or whatever you want to call them, still do it. Why do you think the method persists? And what do you think, I guess, is people's preference towards it?
I think with the flashlight, it's one of those kind of instant things, and it's user friendly. So it's like,
and they have to use a lot of energy to be able to do it.
right.
Yeah.
With the push button, I agree. Yes.
I mean, I
I
think
like
it's
the dowsing rods too.
because they work. That's the thing. The only thing is that you have to know how to use them, like with anything else. But they work. They may be old school, but they work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
And that's the answers I was looking for the most part, too, is I think a lot of things are questionable in their use when they're not used properly. I mean, we've seen dowsing rods. Well, yeah. Well, no, that's you got to steady them, and you can't. You got to do them the right way. The flashlight's the same thing. You pointed out the difference with the push button. You have to do certain things to make sure what you get is anomalous in what it's doing.
Well, we know everything works It's just a matter of kind of like the pictures. If you capture something, there's usually 3 in a row. You kind of want to debunk maybe before and after, like Chris is saying with the flashlights. If it's, did somebody hit the floor, hit the table to make that go off or not? So you can kind of like prove that it was legit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's our whole field is all about proving things. So
it was my husband, our daughter, and another couple. And I made a point to let everybody know to like stay back as far as possible so that the flashlights weren't rolling around if somebody moved, because they're old buildings. If you hit the floorboard, it could roll around. Although my husband and my daughter and myself, we do this a lot. We go to Gettysburg a lot. We all go to, I hate calling it ghost hunting because there's still people. They may not be living, but there's still people. Right. I like to use spirit investigation.
And plus, we're not hunting them. We're not hunting them. I don't know.
Yeah, trying to communicate.
You can't kill them. They're
already dead. About that on the last show.
Like rabbits.
Like rabbits.
Yeah, exactly.
The true definition is we're trying to communicate with people that are no longer in their meat suits is what we're trying to do. And if they choose to communicate with us,
because I use that all the time. That's my terminology that
I like Ron's terminology. What do you call it? Your meat pajamas?
Meat pajamas.
Meat pajamas.
Yeah, meat pajamas.
Well, it's funny. The coining of meat pajamas, meat suit, whatever. It kind of does what can't remember the term for it. It minimalizes or almost dehumanizes what it is you're referring to. And the reason I like that is because if everybody believes that we're spiritual beings living a human experience, we're not humans being spiritual. We are more spiritual than flesh. Then that is a sensible way to split the pie chart, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, let's get into some of these picks because we've also got this is exciting, guys. This is what makes our show better and different than others.
That's why you're here.
Is I also have a copy of a reading with a picture that Maureen did where she nailed it on the head. And I want to show you a copy of that. We'll get to that. We'll save the best for last. But let's go through some of these picks. Some of these picks are really cool. So you know what? Let's do it this way. I like being able to zoom. So I'm going to share. Where the heck is it?
Screen share so you can zoom in. That's a good idea because 99% of the time we put pictures up, people go, well, if you could just zoom in a little bit. Well, we can't.
We can't. Yeah.
But this way you can. So Chris is here for you, people.
That's right. It's all about getting there for you guys.
Christoph.
So here's, look at that. That
and it's their anniversary, guys. It's their anniversary today. That's appropriate. That's all the evidence we need to show. Good night.
I love that.
Happy anniversary.
Actually, this picture was taken 7 years and 4 hours ago.
In 4 hours, he said. He scored points with that. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah. Because our wedding ended about 5:30. So here we go. All right. So where is this, Maureen?
This is in the Mary Stegmeyer mansion in Wilkes-Barre.
Now, what do you see?
I've noticed that this happens in a lot of pictures in haunted locations. Yes.
So a lot of people will discredit this because of the mirror in this location, but you can see the lens flare coming off the mirror.
It's way above.
It's about 4 feet above it.
Correct.
So your standard door is 6'8". This is a 6'8" door. That strike plate is about 36 inches from the floor. And guys, I've 30 years in the window and door business. I know the exact measurement. That's 38 1/4 or 36 1/4 right there at that strike plate.
Wow.
So that puts this light and the mist behind it at about 24 inches off the floor.
This is one of the most haunted places I think I've ever been in.
With children?
I have a picture, which was too blurry to give to Chris, but I found a maid I was being followed through the whole building. There was a maid in a mirror. There were two sets of eyes in a picture.
Ooh.
There was something negative following me throughout the whole building. There was that. There was something in the bathroom when I went into the bathroom. There was something everywhere I went.
So what fascinates me about this picture is that because of the level of this, the light anomaly you're seeing down here, it is away from the lens flare. Because you can actually see a trail of the lens flare. So your lens flare is not going to come down, and it's definitely not going to do this in front of that dark wood. And if you look really close at this picture, and this is why I wanted to share the screen, you can almost see a mist or something starting to form behind the light anomaly. This is a really good pick. This is a great catch. And Audra's right. I'm kind of sensing a child.
A child. I think it's a young boy.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to.
I'm with you on this too, Chris. I think a lot of times these kind of things get dismissed out of hand for what they are. I have a picture from the pool area of the Queen Mary, and it's the same type of a little strip of light like that. And it's a reddish color, and I couldn't connect it to anything. It was far from the exit sign to have been, the cause of it, and it wasn't reflecting or beaming light to that degree. But there is a lot from people who are looking for the scientific side of this stuff. There is a lot to suggest too that light and the properties of light have something to do with not only paranormal activity, but even the essence of what these beings or spirits might be. It was, I think, in the 13th century, St. Thomas Aquinas wrote of angels and beings of light, ageless, and the ways and characteristics that he described the beings is spot on with what quantum physics talks about light and photons, which are the makings of light today. Identical descriptions in a lot of what he said. So it's interesting that to look at something like this, it's almost lazy, in my opinion, to just dismiss it without, really thinking through and looking what the possibilities might be. Now, if you have anything, corroborative too, where something happened, there's a noise, something moved, whatever, that along with this, and you have even more of a case then.
I mean, there's no trail of the light reflecting towards it either.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Good catch.
That's, and then I'm looking around, I don't see anything that would mimic that shape anywhere that maybe it would have reflected off. I don't see anything like that.
I mean, even like that beam there goes still up
here. And one of the reasons I tell everybody I love the pictures, and the reason I love the pictures is because I preach situational awareness. And the reason I do is because, besides the fact that we're highly sensitive and on the verge of psychic, and we have, we can feel things, see things, hear things, we feel the energy. But on top of that, I'm data driven because I've been in operations, ex-law enforcement. Construction is my background, 30 years in the construction industry. And I love pictures because people look at this and, like Ron said, they dismiss it because, you got your mirror here, you got the flash from the camera. Oh, hell, that's not paranormal. Well, no, you look at it and you've got to analyze situational awareness. Was there anything in this room that would have caused a mist? No, nothing in this room would have caused a humidity that would cause that mist down here low. You can see the lens flare reflects onto the door, and it reflects about 42 inches up on the door. So to catch that light anomaly down 18 to 22 inches from the floor, it's not going to be lens flare from the camera. It's not going to be lens flare reflecting off the mirror because it's too high, because you can actually see the trail of light coming off of this. So Ron's right. It's just lazy to dismiss it when you could look at this and you could go through it and you can analyze it and you could take away everything that would say that that's paranormal or not paranormal. And when it comes right down to it, you can't eliminate the fact that that's a light anomaly with a mist behind it, and it's not being caused by anything in the room.
Yep.
And Ron, if you saw a red light like that in the Queen Mary by the pool, isn't it almost like pitch black in there?
Not when the people are walking through. So they have some of the lights on, when, especially if it's any percentage of people from the public, not like a private, they'll
Right.
not have it won't have it that dark. I mean, it's
pretty
dark
dark
in
in
there. It's dim, but
It's dim,
So
but
there
they
really
have
isn't much to show a light.
no. They have a couple floodlights up on the balcony section above the pool area that are like 20 watt. So it's
Right.
enough that you can see, and it's enough that you can discern that's not being caused by those lights.
But not like that.
No, there's nothing red in there at all that would cause that. No. That's fantastic. That's a great catch.
Mhm. So
And
close.
anybody that takes the time to actually look at this and trying to determine where it's coming from knows that there's no explanation for that light anomaly.
I've seen blue lights like that in a lot of photos of haunted locations. Mostly blue.
But some people believe that when you see a light anomaly like that, and you actually, good God, Chris, and it actually has a mist where it looks like it's starting to form a little bit. They believe that the light color is actually the aura. So when you get a red, it's more of a malevolent, dark, not darker. I hate to say negative because that.
So this would be something calm.
Very. That light blue streak would be very something calm, like a child.
Yeah.
and it's brighter. The illumination is more intense at the left.
And at that point,
Right.
The left edge of it. So I mean, refraction of light, reflection of light. There's no diffusion of light.
No, and that's not a glow emanating off. That door back there is about 3 feet away. So that is an actual mist or a glow of mist coming off the light where it almost looks like it's starting to form.
Yeah,
Because
there isn't a window or anything out there either.
Right.
That's a hallway.
That's pretty cool.
yeah, good catch.
And like Ron said, people that are lazy would dismiss that. Nice catch.
Thank you.
All right, let's look at this one.
Ah,
Now,
you say
tell me if I'm wrong, Maureen.
Yes. What?
This would just look like a normal tour group going through, what is that,
Correct.
Eastern?
State Pen in Philly.
Yep, knew it.
One of my favorite places.
Now, did anybody catch the 7-foot guy with the top hat?
I did.
Holy cow!
So you got, this is an exterior wall, correct? Or are these cell doors?
There
And they're
are
not
cells. There are cells, and if anybody hasn't been there, it's like a wheel. Benjamin Franklin was the one that actually designed this facility. So it's round in the middle, and it has
Spokes like a wheel, yeah.
yeah, spokes. Thank you. Now you're wearing off on me. So it has spokes like a wheel, and then there's a center to it, and then they have an outside which actually had a baseball field. And then they had towers for the guards. So I actually made this black and white so it was easier to see. People don't believe me, but there was no one there with a top hat. And those two little old ladies, they were in front of me the entire time and they didn't move very quickly. But it made it really interesting to see how short they are compared to this man.
Well, and
No,
here's
with the
another
top
reason
hat.
why I like pictures is you see the cell doors over here?
Yeah.
So your cell doors back then weren't your average 6'8" like your standard door is today. Your cell doors back then would have been probably 5'11", 6 foot max. And you see guys where they duck going into the cells, right?
These were small.
Which makes this gentleman here with the baseball cap on about 5'10". And if he's 5'10", that means this gentleman's 6'5" to 7 foot with that top hat on.
He was really, he had to have been really tall. And here's my theory on this, because when I was sitting, meditating and feeling the vibe, what I think probably was going on in this, I think he was actually the warden, because no one, so the water that ran in from the streets was the water that they drank.
Ugh.
They had only one person in each cell at the time, but they packed it to capacity because it got to be like one of the only prisons at the time. And who would be wearing a top hat? I believe that this is the warden. I think that he was probably doing his usual walkthrough. And how often would the warden actually go into general pop?
So
That's a great catch because I thought it was a person.
no, I think so
That's
too.
crazy.
Chris, calling upon your divine skills of observation, right? The one thing people could question, and I don't think this explains it at all, but the one thing people could question is depth perception, right? Like if you look at the person dead center with the white sweat jacket on, or so it looks like, right?
Here.
They're not tiny, they're just smaller because they're further back. So
Right.
do you think there's any depth in the fact that guy looks as tall as he does, or do you think he's standing amongst those people and he is that tall?
He is standing approximately 2 to 3 feet behind this gentleman right here.
That's what it looks like.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and depth perception. Let's look at this guy here. So if you take this guy here who's up close and you take the top of his head across, so this gentleman's about 6 foot. Now, if you look down here at this gentleman in the white sweatshirt and take the top of his head and go across to the top of the cell, this gentleman is approximately the same height as this gentleman. The reason he looks shorter is because, like Ron said, he's further down the hallway. It makes him look shorter. But if you look at where his head is compared to the top of the cell door right here in the picture, this guy's just the same size as this guy.
He might be a foot diagonal from that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Which still
the
makes this
interesting
gentleman
part,
over
this is
6
not
foot.
the only picture that I have from this place. And I don't know if, Chris, you're going to show those.
Let me see.
By the way, Chris, I've used that same theory for people with me. I try to tell them I'm like 6'7", but you look at me from far away.
Well, and here's,
As do I, Ron.
I want you to look really close at this.
That's that's good.
That's a historical photo of a guard walking down the second floor. And your average height guy, when this picture was taken, was probably about 5'8" to 5'10", which puts him with his hat about 5'8" to 5'10", according to the cell doors.
Where was that at?
It's off to the side in the picture.
Yeah, that's the
It
picture.
is? I totally missed that.
Yeah.
Dang.
And then if
Which
you
is
look
very
again,
similar.
Yeah, it's that hallway in a photo from when the prison was active versus.
this is actually this floor up here is where this photo was taken, and where this gentleman's standing is down here.
Wait,
Right.
this was one of my pictures?
Yeah.
It's in
Holy
your picture.
shit, I missed it.
But if you look really close, so if this gentleman with a hat on is about 5'10", this gentleman with a hat on, 6'6" to 7 foot.
See, now my theory was this. I thought that they hired the tallest guys just to totally intimidate the prisoners.
Not necessarily. But here's what's even more intriguing. An average exit sign, and we can Google this, is about 9 feet. Okay, so it's right there, we'll line with that.
So
See where
he's
the top
about
of his head is?
a foot to 2 feet below that.
That's right. He's a foot to a foot and a half below the top of that sign, or below the bottom of that exit sign.
Zoom in on him again.
Which makes him approximately 7 foot tall with that hat on.
Zoom in a little more. Can you zoom in more?
Yeah.
But that half of his head is in there.
See, even when you zoom in to the point that it gets blurry, the woman to the far left, to right there, you can still see some detail in her face. There's a ridge of her eyebrow.
This is more of a shadow.
He loses a lot of the outline.
Mm-hmm.
When people think that spirits are completely see-through, here's proof for anyone who hasn't seen one.
No.
You can have someone completely solid walking around you and not see them at all, and there they are.
Yeah.
So I think he caught the same guy in this picture.
You could see his tie, his hat, everything. And it's almost like his knee down kind of disappears.
Yep.
It sure does.
And here we go.
That's actually a closed corridor.
Yep. Nobody's down there.
No one.
And here's where
No
your
one
point
was
of
allowed
reference is again. So this initial door right here would have been a 9-foot gate. This door, this little, would have had 2 doors on it. One is on the inside, one is on the outside. And this was probably a maximum security area, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right?
Maybe I could do some research to find out.
So in order to get in and out of this section, you'd have had to go in the first door, and then they would close it behind you. You'd open up the second door and go through. This was probably around 6 foot, maybe a little taller. But if you look at this guy, in comparison, now remember he's a little ways down the hallway, but if you bring him close, he's a little bit taller than this, which makes him about the same size as the guy in the other photo.
Oh, somebody's asking where this is. This is at Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia. And they might have statistics. So I could even find out. I actually go to Philadelphia a lot. So they do have kind of like rules with their names of the prisoners. And I think they did have the statistics for the guards as well. So I think we were planning on going back down there very shortly, so I can look for that.
I'm glad you guys, thank you for watching the comments. Sorry guys if I missed some of your comments. With Tony not being here, it's a little hard for me to focus on both. But yeah, this gives you another concept too. So this would be a 6'8" door. Because back then they wouldn't have had 8-foot doors, except these cages. This would have been 9 foot. So this is probably about 30, 40 feet prior to this opening right here. Mm-hmm. So if you move this down, this would have been right about here for the level.
Yeah, nobody was tall enough to need a door that tall.
No. Which makes this guy about 7 foot.
It's a super intimidating facility.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
And guys, the reason I know that is because of what I've done my entire career and the fact that and Maureen's husband can vouch for this. In law enforcement, they train you to look for stuff like this. So when you're looking at a suspect that far away, you can determine his height. So when you're calling in a description, and Scott's a part of the group here too. Scott's ex-law enforcement. You have to be able to rationalize height distances and determine approximately within 6 to 8 inches how tall this gentleman is. I'm telling you right now, between my construction experience, my law enforcement experience, and judging by the size of these doors and what they would have been, that gentleman's about 7 foot, which tells me that he's the same height as that gentleman right there. Which means I think you caught the same spirit in 2 different pictures.
So you think that's the guy with the top hat?
Yes.
Huh.
Can you zoom on him a little more?
Because when Eastern State was opened, it would have been very rare to have 2 people working in the same building that were 7 foot tall. 6'6" to 7 foot tall.
Well, the other thing that I was thinking was that I wasn't sure that's where you were going with it was maybe in his human days, he was not 7 feet tall.
Well, do you have that last picture from there?
Which one is that?
The one with the hallway that's kind of dark.
Ooh.
Because that guy's tall as well. He's really tall.
This one?
Yes.
Oh, shit. This gentleman right here?
Yeah.
He's tall.
And if you look where the old lady is, he has no knees. His knees disappear all the way down to the floor.
Oh, wow. Right there. He's gone.
So he's just floating. So is he trying to make himself taller to intimidate the people coming in? Because here's the thing. A woman told a story about the fact that they do a haunt here in October, which this was the month of October. It was decorated outside, but they take all the stuff down inside. She said she was part of the haunt. She was closing up for the night. It was her turn to close. She was the only person in the entire building. She was grabbed by several spirits, thrown to the floor, brutalized. Someone heard her outside who was working for the ambulance company. They came in and she was completely battered with bruises all over her.
Oh, wow.
and they had to pull her out. And the woman said the only reason why she stayed and went back in was because the same thing happened to her the night before.
Huh.
Wow.
So are they trying to make sure that their niche is kept sacred and they're intimidating people? Or is it just that they're that tall?
Interesting. If you look really close, it looks like he's wearing the same hat.
Yeah, he does look like he's wearing the
Now,
same
this
hat.
doesn't look like a top hat, though. This looks like the same guy from the hallway.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
It's like a guard hat.
Yeah, let's look. There's that guard hat.
It is like psychological warfare.
Like a bowler hat or something too.
That picture again.
That does more like that.
Looks the same.
Yeah, it does. You're right.
Yeah.
That's like a guard hat.
And maybe that is the bottom of his feet in that picture. He's just levitating like.
That's
Kayla
what it
said.
looks like.
Yeah.
Because if you look, this looks like it might be a calf. So his foot might be here. Which, wow.
So maybe he'd only be like 5'8".
And it almost looks like he's looking this direction, doesn't it?
He's
It
looking
does.
directly in the eyes.
Yeah, there's his nose, there's his eyes, there's his chin. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting because you don't have the complete apparition.
Right.
I'm one of those people that I'm a perfectionist, so I pick everything apart that I do.
Oh no, you're good, because that's what true investigators do. Whether you have psychic abilities or not, before you present evidence, you tear your own evidence apart so somebody else can't.
Yeah,
Right.
Kayla, I think he's like 5'8". If
On
that's,
this
I mean, if
wall?
he's levitating.
Can you get to the other side of this? Because it's blocked off. Can you get to the other side?
No, it's like a spoke.
Well, yeah, because it's a spoke, they have another fence at the end. So every end is open.
Okay.
There's no wall at the end of each of these. But
But
they
I mean, do you have
ones that are
access
closed
to
down,
it?
you
Or
can't
isn't
get in.
there there's a person at the end of it.
Yeah, you have access to it. And I think that's just
Okay.
another guess. You have
Yeah.
access.
All
That's
of
a
them are
person.
open.
Yeah.
There's another person, but they're probably on the outside where
Right.
like the baseball field is.
Right.
Right.
But they won't let you in. They just recently opened the medical facility portion of it, that's why I want to go back, because I think if anything, you're gonna get something there.
That's
Because if
fantastic.
they were truly that brutal to these guys, what did they do to them in the medical center?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to. I like this one.
I liked that one too.
Because everybody's drawn to this,
Yeah.
Right.
right? Did anybody see this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It's a woman.
I can't
Yeah.
really. I don't know if it's our lights that's blocking. I can't really
A little
see
bit.
it.
Yeah, we have lights in front of us.
So what's interesting is if you look closely at this picture, you see the reflection of light coming off the exterior glass of this window. Look really close. Talk about depth perception. This is not surface. That's inside.
Where was this one?
At the orphanage.
As I said, that's a young girl. That's a young girl.
She's missing an eye.
Yeah. It's a brutal place.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Ugh.
You see it, right?
Now I do. Yeah.
See it?
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody's immediately drawn to this because this light kind of makes
You're
it.
always drawn to something in the picture that's either the
Right.
dark spot, the bright spot, the spot with the cat, with the tree, wherever. But it's just this, and it's really weird because when I take pictures, it's almost like something's going, click it now,
Hey, yeah.
take it
Yeah.
now. And everybody else is like listening to the story as the fake orphanage madam is talking.
Right. And here's the best part is people can look at this and go, well, it's matrixing, but usually matrixing is when you're up close. Right? The further you get away, the more clear it gets.
Yeah, more detail.
It looks like the kid's face was completely smashed in.
It does.
The right side.
Yeah.
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 This side right here.
No, the right side.
This side, you think?
Yeah. Yeah, because this one you can see like the eye.
It just looks like it was melted.
Looks more deformed.
Eesh. Creepy.
Oh, she doesn't deform to me.
It does.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the next one. I lost it. Oh, there we go.
No. I love this picture.
Is there somebody lounging?
Yeah. There's somebody chilling right here.
There's something behind it. Do you see the blob behind it?
There's a few things behind it. Where was this taken, Maureen?
This was walking behind the orphanage. There's like a big square yard with an iron fence behind it. And I turned around and I just took a picture. And I think it's a horse. I want to say it might be a horse.
This?
Yes.
Which orphanage is this?
Eastern State.
The orphanage in Gettysburg.
That's what I
Gettysburg.
was going to
Oh,
say.
my
Yeah.
bad.
Okay. All right.
I am picking up a ton of stuff in this picture.
It just felt really
Seeing a-
weird when I saw
I'm
this.
seeing a figure here.
Yep.
Like running through the grass.
Yeah.
It almost looks skeletal. Like
Yes, very.
Yeah.
you could see ribs and everything.
And this doesn't surprise me in Gettysburg. The energy in that
No.
line is just intense.
It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
But everywhere I go, if I take a picture, there's something in it.
And so everybody watching, when you see me and Audra go like this, I'm on my third screen, and it's a lot bigger here than it is in front of us.
We're being rude. Sorry.
We're being rude. Not that we're not paying attention to you at all.
Can you bring it down a little? Like, or I guess like down. There, I see something on top. I'm wondering what that is. Can you zoom in now?
It looks like he's running from the ice cream truck, and then there's something in front of him.
Ice cream man, ice cream man. Am I
You
going
think
right,
that's
Tortoise?
Matrixing? Yeah. That's probably matrixing, right there. Where you have you just had it right on top. I see a face with a big nose, eyes, and a mouth.
Yeah, I saw that too. But
To the right, right there. Yep, that's what. I don't know if it's matrixing or not, but that looks like a face to me.
Kind of like a chin here and a cheekbone here.
Yeah.
Kayla could be right. She said it could be the boy that got loose and got help for the rest of the kids.
Yeah, the residual energy of him running. Maybe.
And they weren't really fed well, so he could be skeletal.
Interesting.
That is a cool pic. Is that?
Yeah, that is really cool.
What the
I
hell?
don't know if they're residual. I don't think that the guys in the prison were residual. I think that they are intelligent.
No, I mean him running across the field to get help. Maybe it's
That might be residual.
trail. Yeah. I think there's more there. That just might be.
I think Gettysburg has a lot of residual.
Oh yeah, it's that one. You could take a picture of every place in Gettysburg and sit there and go, "Oh my God, I'm getting so much stuff through here."
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your reading, Maureen, before we get too late.
Okay.
So, for those of you watching, Maureen does. We talked about it in the beginning. She does readings. She's a really good medium. If you guys ever met this lady, the energy that comes off of her just standing there talking to her, let alone getting a reading from her, it would be phenomenal. But this is a reading that I'm going to let you explain it, Maureen. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see. So this was, and I blacked stuff out because I didn't ask her permission, and I don't ever want to hurt anyone intentionally or otherwise. It's a friend of mine, and we were exchanging readings. This was at the very beginning when I first started doing readings. At the very, very beginning, actually. We were just kind of playing around to see what we would get. And so I said that I got the name Lucia. This person lives in Portugal. So all the names are really different from here. And there was a picture that went with this. So we exchanged pictures and everything was in Portuguese. And I obviously don't speak Portuguese, sometimes not even English. Like Chris. So I said, I'm hearing the name Lucia or Lucinda or something of the nature. And I feel like the woman was born to a well-off family and had some kind of talent. So the girl said, Lucia. And I said, Lucia was what I got first, but I don't know if it's, I can't read. I don't know if it's a woman's name or the place, because I obviously don't know anything about Portugal. I'm terrible at geography as well. GPS is great. So I was telling her I was trying to work it all out in my head and trying to figure out what was coming, because there was so much information flying around. And at that point, I didn't know how to control what I was getting either. I'm trying to get this information all lined up. And then I was getting stuff about jewelry, and it was this beautiful, really expensive jewelry. That was the picture of the town that I was given. And I kept hearing hardware, but I was fighting that just like I did with Maggie. And I finally just gave this information about, like, there's some kind of significance to this, you know, the earrings and the jewelry and wealth. And I heard the name Belinda. And it turned out that these were all sisters. There was a Lucia, a Belinda, and something else. And this Lucia they were all very wealthy. They were this girl's aunts and grandmother, I believe it was. One was a concert pianist. She would go and stay with them when it was like summertime. This was like 1920 or 1910 or something that this picture was taken. And the words on the building meant hardware store. And her family owned this place. So I said, I feel like this had changed. It did flood. So it did change a bit. But this was actually Coimbra in Portugal. And this is her town. So her whole family lived there. They changed it. This hardware store is still operating. But that was her grandfather's hardware store.
That's fantastic.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was really neat. So I don't know if people realize this, but I know that there are some mediums on TV that are very like, so that's what it is. And then they go on to the next person. But I'm like, oh my God, that is so awesome, because I just still can't believe that I get these things right. I'm like a little kid and I can't help it. So that was like the names, just getting them, like Lucia and and Gina was the other one. Getting them Belinda and Lucia, that spot on at the very beginning for me was mind blowing to me. And I think I didn't sleep for about 3 days. And she was so excited because she didn't even know some of the things I told her, and she had to go and ask her aunties and her, her grandparents and whatever. So that was kind of cool. And then she sent me pictures of what it looks like now. and she keeps that picture by her bed. So that was kind of
That is so cool.
yeah, I was really excited. So I don't know. Sometimes I think I was better back then because I didn't filter it and control it. And now I'm kind of like, not Maggie. Not Maggie. Put it back in. It kind of makes me nervous sometimes because you watch the Long Island Medium and she's like, lady, come here. I want to tell you something. I'm not like that. I put my blocks up and I don't do that. I always call it like mind rape. I feel like mind raping people when I go out and I just read, but sometimes it just happens. Like when I'm at the dentist and someone's working inside my mouth, it's very personal. And I looked at this girl as she was finishing cleaning my teeth and I said, are you going on a trip soon? And she kind of like looked at me weird. And I said, you need to be careful because you're going to fall and you've already hurt your knee before. And she's like, how do you know that? And I said, I'm just warning you because this time, if you hurt that knee again when you fall, you're never going to be able to use it again. And she goes, well, I'm going on a small trip to Philadelphia this weekend. And I said, no, this is going to be a bigger trip. And you're going to really hurt yourself. And I went back the next time to get my teeth cleaned. And she goes, we went on a trip on a cruise and the steps were wet. And I knew, like, I thought to myself, hold on to the railing. And I'm lucky I did because when I slid, my leg went out. And if I didn't grab the railing, that knee would have been blown. And thank you for telling me. She's like, I don't know how you knew that. So I gave her my card and I just kind of like looked down and she goes, why are you so embarrassed of that or like ashamed of that? And I said, because some people think I'm weird. And she said, no, you really saved my ass, literally. And I'm like, no, I actually saved your knee. But your ass could be involved too.
Your ass was already cracked. There's nothing I could do about that.
Right. Like that's been
Your
a
high knee.
problem too. But Frank Perone, he was replacing the windshield in my car. And he worked at the place. He was the manager at the place. And we just kind of connected. And I said to him, do you have we were talking about his dad. I don't know how we got into the conversation. And he said, my dad had cancer. And all of a sudden I looked into the garage and I said, do you have a German Shepherd? I saw a German Shepherd curled in a ball on the floor and it got up and it started to run away. And he said, oh, that might be the neighbors down the street. And he was going, here, boy. And I went, no, I don't mean like, do you have a German Shepherd? Because then I realized it wasn't like a German Shepherd now. And I said, did you have a German Shepherd? And he said, yeah. His name was Bear and he had cancer. So then I start putting the pieces together. We were talking about his dad who had cancer and Bear had cancer. So that was like his way of saying, it'll be fine. I'm fine. I'm here to visit you. And then it kind of like turned into another reading because he had a family member who passed away. And I hope I'm not giving too much information, Frank. Because
address, phone number, social security, please.
This is kind of like a personal thing to the next part. But his dad actually did get better because Frank took over taking care of him, and he kind of like beat cancer. Okay, so he said I could keep going. So we continued talking. And then I said to him, there's something else though. who is, and I said the name, and he said, that's my aunt. And I said, did she pass away? And he said, yes. And I said, was it in a really weird way? And he said, yes. And I said, was she murdered? And he said, yeah. But we don't know what happened. And I said, what I'm getting is that it was gang related, but not a gang. Does that make sense to you? And he said, yeah, I know where you're going with this. And I said, was it in the 70s? And he said, yeah, because I was seeing like cars and clothing and hair. And I said, was it a motorcycle gang? And he said, that's what we're thinking. And he said, keep going. And I said, did someone cut her hair, but not the way it should have been cut? Because it was like there were pieces cut all over the place, almost like they did it haphazardly. And he said, yeah. And she was a hairdresser and she never would have allowed that. And I said, was she found in her car, like almost like it looked like she would have drowned? And he said, yes. And I said, she was pregnant, but no one knew. And he said, yes. I said, it was springtime and she was about 4 to 5 months pregnant. And he said, yeah. And I said, but she was found in a really strange place. Like she wasn't supposed to be in water in a car. Here she was found in a canal and it flooded and her car was still running and the water got into this canal and it went up over the roof. And when the water started to subside, these boys were playing basketball and they saw the roof of the car and they reported it. And she was, I don't know if she drowned or if something happened to her first, but that's where they left her. So they didn't know any of these details. So he was able to tell the rest of the family what happened, but it was in the 70s and it was in the newspaper. And
wow,
that's how he was able to figure out what happened to her.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think her name was Kathy, or his mom was Kathy, or there was a Kathy involved, which was weird because there was also a Maureen and my sister's name is Kathy.
Wow.
But the dog was his dog.
Yeah.
And we stayed friends and we are very close friends now. And that was
Fantastic.
2017, 2016. From a dog not being a real dog. Yeah, Kathy's his mom.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
Y'all, if you aren't convinced now about Maureen, you never will be.
Yeah. So those are profound moments. Those things stick with people.
Well, and what, for all of our audience that's watching, the way Maureen was telling that and the way she was describing how she, here you go.
Thanks, Kayla.
Oh,
it's the way the messages come through. It's and this is we've talked about this before. It's parts and pieces, and you got to mold the puzzle together and try and glue it together and hope the glue sticks when stuff comes through like that. And that's why it's incredible. And it's beautiful to be able to help someone like that heal. That's, Carol, you're dead on. And that's the fantastic thing is we talk about paranormal evidence on this show, and we talk about, showing it, disproving it, people talking about being skeptical. 1970s. Yeah. This lady right here got details from something that happened in the 1970s. And I was born in the 70s. I don't know if anybody else was born in the 70s.
I wasn't even born when this happened. So I had no idea who he was. I met him the same day. I had no information. Love
So
you
what
too,
Maureen
Kayla.
just said is the rest of us are freaking old.
Yeah.
No, I'm
I'm just kidding. But for somebody to pick up details from something that happened in the 70s when they weren't even born yet and to be dead on like that is just phenomenal. And then you've got, if you guys don't believe her, this gentleman right here just validated that whole story on air with Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well,
That's
I
right.
love that.
that it couldn't have happened before that. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm gonna pull it up.
I gave a very well-known psychic. I sent her a message and I said, I just had a vision that you were speaking to someone who is the killer of a woman. Did this happen yet? And I explained every detail down to the overpass, where it's located, where the tree is, where this, whatever. She refused to speak to me. That woman could still be alive right now and it didn't happen yet.
No.
If you don't want to talk to someone, then, tell me who to speak to. I explained exactly where it's located, and she's living in the area where it's happening. If it didn't happen yet, send me to the police in your area. I'll explain it to them. I don't know what to do.
Well, and here's where we help people. Maureen, this is the chance you have for shameless plugs. Tell us where they can find you.
Where can we find you?
Where do you, what general area do you marry people in?
99.9% of the time.
Only within a 100-mile radius. No, I'll do weddings in other places. I've traveled up to 2.5 hours at times to do weddings. I love doing weddings because it's not like going to Walmart and being dissatisfied and people are screaming at you. Everybody's happy at a wedding. 99% of the time.
Yeah.
So I love to do weddings. I was the mayor of my borough, and that gave me the capability to perform weddings. And then I also became a reverend. So I can also do exorcisms if anyone's interested.
Wow.
I'm halfway between Wilkes-Barre and Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Where can they find you on the web? Facebook,
I'm on
website.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. You can find me anywhere. I'm A Lil Witchy. I'm also Magical Matrimonials by A Lil Witchy. I'm currently I'm trying to write, if I have some time, children's books, and it's going to help teach morals, ethics, values, non-bullying. I think it's super important. It's going to be A Lil Witchy and Friends, so maybe you guys will be in there too. So if you have ideas, let me know. I had started a clothing line called Hex You by A Lil Witchy, and then COVID kind of slid that sideways. So I'm going to get that back up and running again. I'm into a little bit of everything, just like A Lil Witchy, a little bit of everything.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
But I love what I do. And this weekend coming up, I'm double and triple booked almost every day, but I'm doing an event and my husband and daughter are helping. It's going to be through Boozy Bees. It's an alcohol-infused ice cream. It's their Wizarding Fall Festival. We did it last year. And we're going to be selling all kinds of witchy stuff. And I'm going to try to get some readings in. Friday, I have a wedding, so I have to dip out a little bit for a little while. So Todd and Izzy will be there. Saturday, I have a wedding, so I'll dip out for a little bit and come back. And then Sunday, I'll be there the whole time with them. So if anyone's interested, please stop in and see us. And we would love to see you. We had a great turnout last year. And
will you be at Gettysburg next year?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We actually have a surprise for everyone. I'll fill you guys in when we sign off, but it's going to be really cool.
Cool.
I don't know if we'll bring floof. Anubis is a little bit crazy. But yeah, we'll definitely be there.
Awesome.
Cool.
And what about readings? People contact for readings also?
Absolutely. I do them via phone, Zoom, Skype, any kind of messenger you have. I can do them in person. My office is slightly under construction. It's almost finished. I can meet people at Barnes and Noble, Starbucks, a park. I'm very easy to work with.
Ruth Chris Steakhouse.
Hey, if there's steak involved, I will definitely be there. I've loved steak since I'm a small child. My grandmother gave me a steak for my 4th birthday, if that tells you anything.
Awesome.
I'm very easy to work with.
All right, guys. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. Thank you, Maureen, for being a guest. We've been looking so forward to getting you on.
I had a blast, you guys. It was fun.
Awesome.
That's fun.
I want to reach out. Katie Holte, thanks for stopping in. Courtney Peterson. Carol Garcia is here every week. Frank Perone, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
Validate some of the stuff Maureen's done for us. Scott Riddick, Piedmont Paranormal. Kyla.
Okay.
You caught it. You caught it. Kyla.
It was nice
Kayla,
meeting you.
thanks for stopping by. We love you, girl.
Oh, you
All
guys,
right.
if you want, you can also join my Facebook page. I may be starting some classes also, but I like to put some fun stuff and, fun memes.
Okay.
A Lil Witchy.
Little Witchy.
A Lil Witchy.
A little.
A-L-I-L. W-I-T-C-H-Y.
A little.
A Lil.
All right. Melissa Blackman. Always.
Oh,
She
yeah,
is like
she's
one of our
awesome.
biggest fans. We love Melissa.
Erin Bush. I don't know if you mentioned her. but
Yeah.
Aaron Bush, Antoine Ritter. Carrie stopped by out of her
Yeah.
trip. She just got back from Paris and London.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. she's
Nice
excited.
to see popped in from Arizona really quickly.
Yeah. Everett. Potato. Everett
Mhm.
always has great shit to say on the show, guys. Lynn, thanks for stopping by to check out Maureen. I'm sure you guys know each other pretty well.
Yes, I love Lynn. She's one of my favorite people.
And once again, that Kyla girl. Steve actually stopped by tonight. Steve, thanks for stopping in.
Steve Holte.
Steve Holte. All right, guys. So I just want to say thanks. We'll be here. Well, we won't be here next week.
No.
Ron Lourdes, Tony, and Cherie will be here next week with our guests from next week. I will not be. I will be traveling for work, unfortunately, so we won't be here. But we will be on the same Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence, same time, same channel, same network. Same something? No.
Same
Just
bat
kidding.
time.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
That's it.
Yeah. You guys couldn't tell I'm a DC universe. But anyway, thanks, guys, for stopping by. Maureen, thank you again so much.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for sharing
Thank you.
and putting the positive message forward, too, about not just, and Chris mentioned it before, I didn't want to let the show on without saying it. We've moved past, I think, any of us who've been doing this long enough. If it's real, does this stuff happen? Can you document it? So many of us, the Holtes watching alone, every time they test the device, they document proof that there's anomalous stuff that happens. So I think we've moved on to causality and solace, and I think that was part of your message, Maureen. That's what I loved was helping people, giving them that closure, giving them that peace, giving them that connection that they maybe miss and used to have. That's why we started doing Digital Seance Initiative, to do what Marcello Bacci did with direct radio voice. That is a movement that every vertical of what we do in paranormal research can at least devote some time towards. And I love that.
Helping people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it's important.
Yeah.
Very important.
Mm-hmm.
Ron and Lourdes, before we sign off, you guys got anything going on next week? This week before the next show?
We're actually, you know what? We're open to suggestions. We were originally trying to go somewhere upstate New York by Canada, and the event thing fell through. So we have Thursday, Friday off, and then we were looking to go somewhere, either Cape May, New Jersey, or somewhere for the 4 days, like Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, 3 nights, whatever. To somewhere we haven't been before, possibly. So we're looking for different spots to maybe go do something this weekend, so we don't squander
Our days.
vacation days, by sitting on the couch.
Eastern State Pen.
Yeah, go get that 7-foot fucker.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I had to drop an F-bomb. We can't get out a show without Chris dropping an F-bomb.
We're looking for a place to stay, though. Eastern State would be cool. I mean, you know, you can't stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. You just can't get caught.
Good.
I'll share this real fast, if you can see it. That was a huge honor for me. That's Dr. Annabelle Cardoso in Spain holding both of my books.
That is fantastic.
Oh.
So she's the one who's started me doing direct radio voice. She wrote the about the author for my first book. Steve Holte did it for the second one, so I was gifted twice by two amazing ITC people. But if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be doing direct radio voice. She changed our lives. Obviously, we've got Tony doing it now, so we've thus impacted his. So that's huge. She sat with Marcello Bacci. She sat with Ernst and Kautsky, who came up with the term ITC. And she's holding my books. That is, like you said, Maureen, when you nail stuff, you still can't believe you do it. I still can't believe that that's happened.
Are you jumping on the bed?
I'm jumping on the bed right now.
He was jumping everywhere.
In another dimension.
Oh, thank you for that last comment.
Yeah. Well, Audra and I, we're not doing anything. I'm traveling for work on Monday morning or Monday afternoon. I'll be in Dallas for a couple days for work.
We've got a garage sale going on.
Yeah, woohoo, garage sale. I'm so thrilled about that one.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of exciting news. I have an article coming out in UNX magazine, either the fall one or the one right after that. There's in the next month or two, you'll see an article from me where I touch base on where I struggle with my sensitivity and my database fact-driven mind, where they cross when we go into the paranormal and how it affects me sometimes. So that'll be coming out, and I might be doing some more articles. I'm actually, which is pretty shocking because I hate to frickin' read. I'm actually trying to start writing a little bit more, get my thoughts out of my head and onto the paper, which can be really scary and probably turn away children and scare people away. But
well, they're not children's books.
Yeah, they're not children's books because you'll never try to do that.
They're not
that one's coming out. I'll be in UNX magazine. I did a little article for them, so that should be pretty neat.
That'd be cool.
We got that coming up. So before we sign off,
apparently my husband's giving you some advice. Go to National Harbor near DC this weekend, Ron. Beautiful area. We were just there. It's like it was like Disneyland in this little city. It's all restaurants and bars and shops.
Oh, she said the magic word.
Bars.
That's
bars.
Right.
Yeah.
Bars.
The information. We won't remember.
Yeah.
You gotta message us the information.
Send me a message. Yeah, we're scrambling the last minute to put this together because we had a couple things going on. Then the one thing fell through, and so we've been looking constantly for the last day and a half, 2 days, trying to figure out.
Because if you guys aren't paying attention, Ron and Lourdes just can't sit still on a weekend.
Well, the last 2 weekends of the month, we're not doing anything.
Yeah, that November.
I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it.
We were offered to take a table somebody couldn't take at Sleepy Hollow Paracon. I'm like, nah, I don't think we're gonna go.
Yeah,
I love it there.
I know I want to go, but we need a break, man. Yeah. We need some kind of a break.
All right, guys. Thanks everybody for watching. We went a little late tonight, but what better guest to do it with than Maureen and her?
Thank you.
Fantastic. We are so
glad
we
guys.
You on. Guys, go ahead, Ron.
No, I was saying it was great, and then I was waiting for your tagline.
Oh, my tagline.
It's coming.
It's coming. Hey, if you want to get some good readings or get married, you got to stay a little witchy. But if you want to catch the evidence that Maureen catches, you got to stay a little haunted. All right, guys. Have a good week. We'll see you next week.
Nice.
Bye.
Can you give me a name? What's your name?